So I'm John Rudy here at BrickFair 2016, and Matt was asking actually about my my Disneyland mocks.
It's a pretty cool mock. This one is what drew me over, and everything else here is just simply amazing. And John is going to walk us through these builds and give a little bit of backstory. These are really, really cool. John, what do we have?
So the one that pulled you over is the TWA Moonliner, and actually that's a replica of a scale model that was in Disneyland in 1955 when they originally opened. And it's a rocket that was designed by Wernher von Braun, who we stole away from the Germans after World War II.
Good for us.
And helped to get America to the moon. Walt Disney wanted to encourage people to get to the moon. He wanted to encourage innovation. And so part of Tomorrowland was this beautiful, streamlined 1950s rocket. And I went, okay, I want a model of it. And I said, I can buy a model kit. I can 3D print one, sure, but I can also build one out of brick. And so I'm really happy with how it came out. Basically took a Lego sphere and elongated it to an extreme length, and it worked out really well. I'm happy with it.
It's very cool. Now point out some of the different. Obviously, you have some interesting stunt techniques going on here to kind of get the curvature right. What was the building process like for you?
So I mocked this up in LDD, and then started gathering some of the parts here. Now what's in the center of that is actually a large stack of Dalek bricks, the 1x1 with studs on all four sides, that are sandwiched together over and over and over again with plates. The center section is 4x4, the next section up is 3x3, and then the next section up is 2x2. All of those Dalek bricks, they were just recently on the pick-a-brick walls, so I was able to stock up. And then once I started putting it together, I realized, okay, in LDD on my screen, fine, it looked cool, but it needed some modifications, and it needed actually to be even taller. So I added about 10 studs worth of height to it, just to make it really pop with the scale. I'm really happy with how I was able to do the three-way landing gear there as well. That's a Dalek brick on the inside there that's off kilter by 45-degree angle.
And that's what holds it in at that angle.
Yep, that's what holds it in at that angle.
Very cool, very cool. Now, moving on to the next one, what do we have here? A Jungle Cruise?
Yes, so this is actually, I was building Disney ride vehicles when I was a teenager, and I loved building them. And so I wanted to revisit some of my favorites, and the Jungle Cruise was one of the first ones I built. So this one, I've kind of upgraded it to the max. I used a lot of snot techniques. There's a ridge in the middle of both the canopy and the base of the boat that is nothing but a stack of 1x1 bricks with 2 plates underneath and variations on studs on the sides of those to get that to get that flat feel. It's a really cool ride. I love the Jungle Cruise. It was based on Walt Disney's True Life Adventures, and he wanted people to feel like what it would be like to ride a boat, the African Queen, through the jungle. Of course, then the skipper started making jokes, and now they have jokes about crocodiles where ginger snaps and all that sort of thing.
Oh dear. Now, it's a wonderful build. I see you start off with 4 studs on the top, and then it sort of petters out, and you have like 5, but you also have like a little gap there. Talk about forming that roof.
Yeah, so tapering that roof out was a real struggle, and what helps on that is that the teeth on the side are all kind of snot out, so it studs out towards the camera as you're looking at it right now. So that makes it really simple to start going one plate out, one plate out, one plate out to get that nice taper in there. And I'm really happy with how that came out. It's a really organic shape, and it's tough to get organic shapes. I'm a studs fan, so I wanted to make sure I left some studs visible as well.
There's nothing wrong with a few exposed Lego studs.
Especially when you're using a lot of tiles, you can expose a few studs just to kind of give accents. Like on the Moonliner, the exposed studs up near the top, I'm trying to mimic some of the portholes that were on the actual model.
Portholes, rivets, other kinds of, yep.
Exactly. And here on the side of the Jungle Cruise, I'm trying to get the fiddly bits of the fabric.
Very cool, very cool. Now, coming on down here, what do we have? Disneyland Dumbo, the flying elephant. I'm just reading mock cards.
I know you are just reading mock cards. Have you ever ridden the flying Dumbos?
I have not.
They are amazing. So it's your typical whirl-around ride where the cars go up and down. But here they're themed to Walt Disney's famous flying elephant, Dumbo. And originally, when they wanted to put these into Disneyland, they wanted to make them pink elephants. And Walt said that he didn't want any alcohol references in the park. So instead, they went with the multicolors. So these were really, really tough to get right. It's really tough at this scale to get something as complex as an animated character's face. And these took about 20, 25 different revisions of Dumbo's head just to get that right prominent front brow, and I'm really happy with how the pupils came out in those eyes there, and there's a lot of weird connections in that as well. The head's really only held on by about 2 studs, and because of some gaps in the part palette and some really expensive parts that I didn't want to buy, it ends up being a really nice, intricate but fragile build.
Definitely. Very cool, though. Very cool. And then it looks like we have a very minimalistic build here.
Well, that's because the ride vehicles are really minimalistic, but they're iconic. Those are the Doom buggies from the Haunted Mansion, and they take you into the boundless realm of the supernatural. I'm really happy with how those have come out. I have been trying to build Doom buggies since I was, a preteen, because I've loved that ride so much. It's the one where the hitchhiking ghosts follow you home, and that's exactly what they follow you home in. And now that we've got those, especially those curved slopes on the front there, you can really mimic the organic shape of a shell that wraps around you and envelops you.
To build that in brick would be dang near impossible.
Well, you could do it.
You could do it, but you would have a lot of filled in pieces. I guess it would be kind of dense, right?
And it would look blocky too.
Yeah.
It would look. You wouldn't be able to get that nice curvature there. So
when those Lego curves hit just right, it's really a beautiful thing.
And when they match up just right too. So this is not a seam that's supposed to match up on any sane person's mock, but you've got me.
The bevel just kind of boom.
Yep.
And then to wrap us up here, I'm not going to read the mock card. What do we have here, John?
That's Big Thunder Mountain Railroad's ride vehicle, and here you've got a runaway mine train.
Okay.
So up front you have the engine. Nobody sits in that, but it's a really great aesthetic. It's this 1880s mining railroad that's kind of gone wrong.
Yeah.
It's the classic Disney ride. Everything's going fine, and then all of a sudden something goes wrong. And here, the something goes wrong is that you start careening around the hoodoos of Utah. And I wanted to really get the energy of that ride, because it's a roller coaster, and it's a family-friendly roller coaster, but it's still 1979, a pretty good roller coaster.
Yeah.
So I'm using the ball joints from the Mixels
to get the
between the cars, and that allows me the posability.
Super free range of motion.
Exactly, super free range of motion, and also that it'll stay put when I put it on the table, and I give it that cant like it's going around a corner.
They have an uncanny ability to be like super flexible, but also they have that clutch factor that they don't like just flop around in the wind.
They're so much better than the old ball joints, which were very loose. Here you've got a nice friction on those, and I'm really happy with the color scheme in this as well. I didn't think that the bright red and the dark green were going to go well together, but then as soon as I put them next to each other, they pop really, really well. And I was worried, because a lot of the parts that I'm using in bright red there are extremely rare in dark red. So I was sitting there going, no, I'm glad that I can at least not spend that much cash on this.
Very cool. John, thank you so much for sharing. If you're a fan of Disneyland, if you're a fan of Disney, this is very, very cool stuff. And even if you're not, it's just beautiful to look at, even if you have no concept of what this is. So thank you so much for sharing. I myself am much more enlightened now.
Well, and now you've visited the Lego happiest place on earth.
It's very true. Thank you, John.
Have a good one, Matt.